It's all just a dream. Come on, girls. Come on, boy. Come on, girls. Are you dreaming?
Everything's fine. Let's have some fun. Here it comes. Oh, here we go. Let's have some fun. Dance in the light. Dance in the light. Dance in the light. Are you dreaming? Are you dreaming? Dream.
I dreamed last night.
Dream.
Galilee.
Dream.
I dreamed last night.
Are you dreaming?
Galilee.
Amazing things happen. 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 You gotta believe in your dreams. You gotta believe.
Yes, you've got to believe for sure. That was awesome. Amazing things happen. I love
Amazing
that.
things do happen
I
now.
love that. So we didn't get to see that whole thing last week for some technical reason. It decided.
Well,
to
I think I sent you a web unfriendly thing, and it was
Gotcha.
I think it was an H.264 that was just way too big, and I compressed this one down. And I didn't have a glitch with this one; it ran perfect.
Amazing stuff. I think we didn't get to that awesome dubstep breakdown last time. That was pretty dramatic.
No, we only got through like about a quarter of it last
Awesome.
time. Yeah, it was
Awesome.
fun. It was fun to put that together. That little thing with the books. That's kind of like my whole little history of magic, right? And that
I love it. Yeah, I love it. I was going to say we didn't even get to Brianna made a very a big appearance in that one, which is great. I don't think we've ever had so much Brianna on the show, which is awesome. We always welcome, and we've got Shengi Girl out there. Good day, Eve, afternoon, dawn, Mr. Most Handsome, and all amazing people here surrounded. I think Raphael brought some friends with him. But we'll get to him soon. But welcome to the Fool's Journey. It's freaking Monday again, June 19th.
again,
Can you
man.
believe it? It happens so fast every Monday. It's like
And,
Monday.
and we are talking about the Three of Cups this week, and I'm making an executive decision.
Okay.
Normally we do a card a week. This week we're going to do Three of Cups this week and Three of Cups next week. We'll do a superficial brush over, but we're not going to go into the rest of the threes and all that because the Three of Cups is about celebration.
Okay.
And I want to keep the celebration vibe going, as long
Okay.
as we can. And we're coming up on Wednesday, the summer solstice. One of my four, I really only have 4 holidays that I actually celebrate.
Right.
And that's the Four Corners. And, this is the longest day of the year. The great thing about the equinoxes is it's a balance thing, it's
love it.
Equal days, but the winter and the summer solstice, it's the shortest day and the longest day. And both of those push to that edge, can be used in some really delicious ways. The winter solstice is the most inspiring day of the year for me for decades.
Oh yeah. I personally, I think I favor the summer solstice, but I'm just a warm weather guy.
A ton of my music most of the things I won any awards for in advertising were done then. And
Mhm.
this is a crazy story, but this deck and the Angel deck both
Mhm.
got started on the winter solstice and completed on the spring equinox. So
Wow.
really
Awesome.
super special days for me. So anyway,
Not coincidentally, you might add.
we're doing some, in the celebration zone. This Wednesday is the solstice.
Nice.
So I've got a couple of really good friends. We're going to go out to the labyrinth and actually walk the labyrinth.
Super.
Take time to do that at sunset, and then do a nice little solstice ritual once we reach the center. See what we can scare up.
Exciting, man. Exciting. If you enjoy the moment and you finish the moment and you want to go live spontaneously, let me know and maybe we'll do a live.
That's a thought. I hadn't really thought about that, but that could be a really cool thing to do.
If you get signal out there, then we can do it,
Yeah, I haven't tested it, but it's right in the middle of the city here, and it's next to of all things, it's a Lutheran church called Atonement Lutheran Church.
Nice. Wow. Wow.
Dude, I this is one of those. I had brought up this place when I first moved here,
Yeah.
and discovered it, and it was just kind of a happenstance. So I happened on it, and the energy there continues to be just the purest, most pristine. Like, oh my God, I
Awesome.
just
I
feel
love that.
rejuvenated every time I go there.
I love that.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to seeing what we could scare up on the solstice, and the cool little energy like geyser thing that's in the very center of that. Whoever built that thing was pretty
Spot on.
brilliant.
Yeah.
They knew some stuff.
They
really
channeled, they channeled it. They
really
knew,
did. Or they knew some stuff.
or that, or maybe both. A combination thereof.
So how's your
Awesome.
week go, man? How's
I had a good week. I had a good week, and actually had the day off today, which allowed me to field another opportunity with the projection company that I've been working with. They have a nice presentation going on Wednesday, so I got to see a little sneak peek of the demo, and it's pretty awesome. I'm excited about it. I know we got a technology conversation coming up. It's not so deep into the AI end of it, but it's really cool technology involving projectors and creating environments, CGI, a lot of like that kind of stuff. But it's I like it.
And to that note, we've got a couple of good friends hanging out backstage. Raphael's
I
here with
can't
us
wait. I'm
again.
so excited
Can't
to
wait
talk to these guys.
get him involved in it. A good friend of mine from the Tibetan bowl meditation, Patty.
Yes,
Top. Yeah, Lou goes back way back.
I
Lou's got
love
the
it.
greatest name, man. Lou Mercurio.
Wow, Lou Mercurio, what a great name.
Mercurio Design. He's in New York, man. He's been around for a long time, and I'm really
That's
grateful
awesome.
to have him here and to have his perspective on this. We kind of kicked it around a little bit in the bowl meditation discussion the other day,
Awesome.
and I thought, man, I gotta have him on.
I like it when we expand the show out and other people come on, and the collective vibration grows a little bit. So it should be good. I'm excited.
So I've got a couple of like really intense things that happened this week, man. One of them, have you ever heard of Carlos Castaneda by any chance? And the Tales of Don Juan.
I have not, but I know you sent me something. I don't know if you want me to bring that up, but tell me about it and let me know if you want me to bring it up.
Did I send you well, no, I've got it actually queued up. I've got a piece. I think it's the 5th book in the series. Okay. Carlos Castaneda, this came out like in the late 60s, early 70s. And this, when I was a young buck, like 16, 17, I got this first couple of books and it was crazy. And Carlos was this anthropologist that was at the University of Texas and was going to Mexico to do his doctoral thesis on the psychotropic plants used by the Yaqui Indians in Mexico.
Okay.
So he goes down and he starts doing some research and trying to talk to people, and he winds up connecting with this guy named Don Juan. And that's not really his real name, but that's what he was named in the book. And he winds up being a Yaqui Indian sorcerer who who takes Carlos on as an apprentice. And that whole like scenario was just crazy. And that was the first time I'd started hearing about energy and your body energy and luminous eggs and tendrils. And I'm like, oh, wow, this is really crazy. The green spot in every room, that's your power spot. Like I still do that to every room I go into today. So really impactful on a lot of ways, but there's the fifth book called The Fire Within, the second chapter on page 11, Mr. Zone. It's called The Petty Tyrants. And it details how Don Juan himself, as a young man, was taught by his teacher. And he goes to this place, like sugarcane farm, right? And he's a Yaqui Indian, so they're like just enslaved, right? Really treated horribly. He winds up escaping, goes back. His teacher says, "No, man, this is a perfect opportunity to use this guy as a petty tyrant, and to develop a strategy like of the spiritual warrior: control, discipline, timing, and forbearance, the four attributes of the spiritual warrior." Mm-hmm. So by dealing with this person that is like and you can't deal with it, it's like this person's just impossible to deal with, and coming up with a strategy to defeat this and move through, like, keeps you all cool. And like there's huge lessons in this, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm gonna like share this with somebody, right? And over the years, seriously, I don't exaggerate even for a second, like I've given this book to a number of people at just the right time, where that lesson kind of like hit a spark in them, like it did in me, and like they turned a really dark place around using this. Wow. And like became part of their own cosmology, you know. So it's been really one of my go-to.
I love that. I love that the whole way that energy transfers that way through books that have a consciousness, these books, you know, and they kind of find where they're supposed to go. You've got a friend out there, Latoya Williams, saying hello. She is new here, so I just wanted to acknowledge her in the comments. Thank you for being here. And Julie saying little Pia.
Yeah, so anyway, I'm about to I'm getting the Carlos book out, and I'm going to review the chapter. And I start reading the beginning. Where I wanted was kind of in the middle of the chapter, and I start reading the very first part of it, and it's all talking about self-importance. And I'm going to read a few of those paragraphs to you.
Okay.
But the whole like gig was like I was like going to be giving this to somebody else because it was going to help them with their petty tyrant thing, and the whole thing was the universe lecturing me about my fucking self-importance and to let it go. Why let it go, man?
Why are you giving that book to everybody? You got to read it yourself. That's awesome.
Here, but let me read you just the very first part of this. So Carlos is going to study with his teacher, and there's a number of apprentices, and there's this woman named LaGorda, and she's really jealous of anybody else that gets Don Juan's time, and he's kind of like already taunted her and made her go away, so she's already pissy, and like he's like messing with Carlos too. So in the middle of this conversation here, we're picking this up. So half complaining, I told him that he made me feel very uncomfortable by refusing to talk to me for the past few days. He looked at me and arched his brows, and a smile came on his lips and vanished. I realized that he was letting me know I was no better than LaGorda. I was provoking your self-importance, he said with a frown. Self-importance is our greatest enemy. Think about it. What weakens us is feeling offended by the deeds and misdeeds of our fellow man. Our self-importance requires that we spend most of our lives offended by someone. The New Seers recommended that every effort should be made to eradicate self-importance from the lives of warriors. I have followed this recommendation, and much of my endeavors with you has been geared to show you that without self-importance, we are invincible. As I listened, his eyes suddenly became very shiny. I was thinking to myself that he was on the verge of laughter, and then with no reason, I was startled by a sharp slap on the right side of my face. I jumped up from the bench, and LaGorda was standing behind me, her hand still raised. Her face was flushed with anger. Now you can say what you want to say because you'll have justification. The whole thing was like they made her think that they were going to be talking about her when they had no intention.
Right.
Right. Yeah. Here. Okay. One last little one here. Okay.
I love it. I'm reading it along with you
Yeah.
because you sent me the PDF. I see it. I got it here.
Self importance is not something simple and naive. On one hand, it is the core of everything that is good in us. And on the other hand, the core of everything that is rotten. To get rid of the self importance that is rotten requires a masterpiece of strategy. Seers through the ages have given the highest praise to those who have accomplished it. Warriors fight self importance as a matter of strategy, not principle. Your mistake is to understand what I say in terms of morality. I see you as a highly moral man, Don Juan. I insisted. You've just noticed my impeccability. That's all. Impeccability is nothing else but the proper use of energy. My
Mm.
statements have no inkling of morality. I've saved energy, and that makes me impeccable. To understand this, you have to save enough energy yourself.
I love
Woohoo!
it. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. And actually, it's funny because we have in the comments there an old friend of mine I haven't seen in many years scrolling through YouTube and sees my face. Uh, this is weird. And I'm just going to say, without any self importance, there are no coincidences.
No.
There's a reason my face was there, and it wasn't because I'm self important or anything like that. It was just you were just supposed to jump in here and see this and be here and share this moment with us. I love you too, Booby. I love you, Booby. That's so funny. But yeah, welcome and pull up a chair. We're here at the Fool's Tarot. We're going to be talking about some really cool things with some cool friends. I think we should
So
get.
What'd you think about the Carlos thing, man?
I love it, dude. I think it's amazing. I think it's amazing that you're pulling it out to show to someone else, and you read it, and you're like, oh, I needed to read this right now. You know what I mean? And you
Just
know,
like your friend just showed up.
yeah, exactly. You know, everything happens exactly the way it's supposed to.
Welcome, by the way.
And that's all good. And I love this. Yeah, I'm gonna read this PDF. I love the self-importance thing. I think we talk about that on my show all the time. Like ego and the good reasons for it, and the things that you should avoid and that kind of stuff. So
Well, and for you, Mr. 11, it's like all over you, man. It starts on the page 11, dude. And the first thing I do when I get that book, dude, is turn to page 55.
Oh, that's great. That's right. I forgot.
Billy, what's up?
That's your thing. Jilly says deflate the ego, and Shari is
I
reminding
saw
me that
Rick jumping in there a little while ago too. So
yes, Shari's a friend of mine from high school. She's reminding me how old I am right now, but that's
okay,
it's a wonderful thing.
let's knock. We're going to
Yes,
extend.
we got
Like I
some
said,
people. We got
we're
some
gonna
people waiting in
extend
the
the Three
green
of
room.
Cups. We'll review again next week and go through all the threes. But right at the moment, I just wanted to bring up let's go ahead and bring up that cup because it's one of my favorite cards in the whole deck, dude. Yeah.
Yep. Rick Midler jumping in with the 11.
Yeah. I really like it. Just makes me so happy. And this card is totally about celebration, man. It's one of the easiest cards to read. You see this card, it's like woohoo. In the Rider-Waite deck, it's three women like dancing in a circle with their cups raised. It's like the Two of Cups where two people fell in love. This is like the wedding celebration from that, and everybody's like woohoo. So if you see this card in terms of your relationship, it certainly applies to that in like a really glorious way. But if you see this in terms of you're asking about new business or your job or something like this, you see this, there's going to be reason to celebrate, and good news is coming down the line, pretty much across the board. Wow, I mean, yeah.
So beautiful, man. Such a beautiful image.
I love the monochromatic aspect of this and the way it just looks like it's glass, but it looks silver, and it's water and it just looks metallic and silver.
And it's not really monochromatic. It's just got a couple of subtle hues. You know what I mean? It's very like, I know what you're saying, but it's really nice. I mean, it's just so awesome. And it looks like, of course, we know there's no coincidence. Raphael is saying Shari found found my YouTube through her channel, us being old friends. That's just amazing how everything is connected. I love that. Thank you for bringing us together. Hints of Blue. Jilly is talking about the
so why don't you bring up the manual page?
You know what? I couldn't find that file, but I have it right here, so I'm going to read the stuff. I don't know why I put that folder somewhere. The with all those.
Dude, you got to stop that.
Here we go. The Three of Cups. Get out the noisemakers, turn up the music, and enjoy the feast of celebration. A crowd of merrymakers have gathered to share in the joy of completion. There is joyful dancing and singing and revelry all around. A joyous time to be savored and remembered, to save for the times when the light dims for a brief moment and things are not so happy. I love that idea. I love being able to hold on to those moments and reconjure them when you need them. That's awesome. This card says fun things are on the way. Festivals, award ceremonies, big parties, family reunions, baby showers, woohoo, and of course, weddings. It looks like the spark from the two ignited and there is marriage in the air. The investment proved worthy and a new chapter for both begins. It's two lives that are now a third. Let the celebration commence.
Let the celebration commence.
Yes. Heartfelt celebrations are always wonderful fun. There is the tendency to overindulge. It may seem like a really good idea at the time, but it won't seem so good in the morning. Moderation is your friend.
Yeah,
now go have fun.
Four of Cups, which is the hangover card.
And we know that's coming next. That's too
all right,
funny.
so we are going to have a lively discussion, or at least that's the intent, discussing artificial intelligence and how that is impacting, everyone in the creative industry is having their lives completely changed by that.
I think everyone in the world, the creative industry, yes, specifically, but I think everybody.
Well, that's how I noticed it. You notice it when it really affects your own life in a really profound way, across the board. And that's how it got. I was kind of aware, but then it woo, man, and where that could go and that. That would be the source of the conversation. Right. So we have a couple of good friends.
We got Shari just got engaged to be married, first time of her life. That's why she's here for the Three of Cups. There you go.
Sherry, congratulations.
Congratulations, Shari. And I see
congratulations and condolences.
I also see Tarot Destroyer is back, but I don't see his comments or her comments. They don't really come up.
Yeah, it's all right, man.
But welcome. Thanks for coming back. So let's should we introduce our guests?
Yeah, Raphael Kamensky is an old friend of mine and really connected. He's been on the show before, and he's really connected to me through the tarot deck. He helped me proof the deck, and it was integral and really helping me get this thing out. And for a couple of years, every time I'd get a new deck, a new version printed, man, I could count on one or two emails from Raphael going errata.
Awesome. So
so he's really this is part of him too.
Awesome. Well, let's welcome Raphael and do your next introduction. What's up, Raphael? An old friend of the show. Good to see you again.
Welcome, everybody. Good to be here. And just to show you guys, I've actually been using my cards. This is still the first, and not the first edition. I think it's the second edition one. But yeah, I still like using the old one. The new ones, to me, they're too pristine. I'm always can I?
I'm still reading look at these things. They're about to fall apart. I can't.
They've collected so much energy.
Yeah. And they shape. It's just like a pair of shoes. You get a pair of shoes and they'll be comfortable, but you wear those shoes for about 3 or 4 months and they're just wrapped around your foot. Just exactly.
That's awesome. I love that. Julie saying welcome back.
So Raphael, we're talking Three of Cups today.
Right. I was about to say before we go on to the AI, totally want to talk about the Three of Cups. So I'll keep it brief since you have still one more guest as well we want to include, of course. So Three of Cups is one of the most amazing cards ever. I would say, and maybe it's just my own bias, it's the card, one of the cards I drew the most, let's say, especially when I was drawing a lot of cards. You know, that's one of them that comes up again and again. And just to share one brief story, recently on the festival, a dear friend I hadn't seen for some time told me about his, let's say, without going into details, new liberation or something from relationship. And although, you know, always difficult things, of course, but he gets this, he's like, okay, let's draw a card. And okay, we make it quick, you just get one card. He gets the Three of Cups, and I'm like, okay, you know, there's many cards we can interpret around, but this one is a pretty obvious one and like clearly positive. And then he was even like, yeah, actually, do you know this is my number, the 43? I believe he even said that, if I'm not lying right now. But what he certainly said is that celebration is a huge part of like his personality and his life and his what's so important to him to celebrate in a proper way. And I was like, well, you know, it's the perfect match. And so, you know, the cards are just always amazing. If you trust in the synchronicity and trust in the draw, it's always perfect. And I would just want to show one more synchronicity from that.
I love that, Raphael. That was awesome. Thank you.
Which has which is with runes, but it's also a synchronistic system if you use it in that way. And suddenly we talk about runes. My friend comes along, drops his self-made runes on the table. My other friend comes around. You know, it's at night. We're chilling out at the chai store that some friends of us are running, and then he's like, okay, he's gonna draw a rune too. And just a few hours earlier, he was telling me, oh, I got this nice obsidian mirror, which has like this, looks like an hourglass, you know, this symbol. But this is also, if you 90-degree turn it, it's a Dagas rune. And we were also, of course, festival in a pretty good mood. And I'm just looking at him, he's like, he's gonna draw. And he's putting his hand in, and I'm like, I already know what he's gonna draw. And he's pulling it. I was like, ha ha ha. And I'm like, yeah, I already knew it can only be that,
awesome.
right? And this just reminded me again how often, you know, also symbols are changed, you know, 90 degrees or whatever. We think it's an hourglass, we think it represents time, but there's oftentimes at least other systems too that correlate where the meaning may actually be derived from, because the Dagas rune is like an hourglass, just 90 degrees. And it's also related, I think, to time or something.
Well, isn't it like infinity, the infinity symbol? Or?
Yeah, right. Very much like infinity symbol. Yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah. That's amazing. And Shari is asking really quickly, which is a total coincidence, and actually I have a feeling that may be a little bit of a foreshadowing. Does Raphael do Andreas exert this show? Yes, I believe the answer is yes, and we may actually have a surprise visit. I think this show might go a little long because we're already at 9:30 and we haven't even started talking. So I think we'll still be around when he's available. So
just to let everyone know, I'm doing mainly the Europa shows with Andreas, and he may be coming on yet if he manages, but if not today, it will be another time for sure. So
yeah, awesome.
It's gonna join.
Very exciting.
I love his show, man. It's like it's very. I enjoy doing that with you.
And just in terms of shows and great intros, which always are great on Andreas's channel, but this track was a real banger, Brian. I really enjoyed it. So good one.
Totally.
So I've been asking all of my tarot friends, and I get the look when I ask it, but I'm asking it anyway. At this moment in time, if you had to pick, what's your favorite tarot card? What would that card be?
You're asking me?
Yes.
All right. So this explains the other part. So one of the things, as you've seen, there is no coincidence here with the 26, right? I mean, Brian, you know, yeah, which is the crazy synchronicity that connected us. Because first numerology we did, I was like, do my numbers and do the 26. He's like, it's my number. No, it's my number. So of course, the Princess of Wands, you know, is high up on the list. Three of Cups is also high on the list. The Fool. Snake Jones is, of course, you know, a supreme position unto itself. But if I would have to pick, let's say, a more regular card, I would pick the one that I kind of drew through the runes. And I had previously done tarot on festivals too, and quite often the 27 comes up. And in this case, the Kehas or something, it's like like this. And that's the fire rune. And that's for me the 27. And that would be one of my favorites, the Ace of Wands, for sure. So
there you go.
Very cool.
Michael, awesome. You got
one? Not yet. I love them all. I mean, I think Ace of Wands is up there for me. You know,
I I'm particularly in love with the 9 of Pentacles at the moment.
Yeah, you've said that before. I've heard you say that before.
That moment, like it's the gibbous moon, you know. It's like the moment right before it's just full now, but it's not full yet. There's a little more to come. Oh man,
you still got something to look forward to. That's probably why.
Love that about the Except awesome. I hate that about the 9 of Swords. So anyway. All right, so I'll shut up here. So our next guest is a really, really good friend of mine. I met year and a half ago, started going to a Tibetan bowl meditation every Friday morning, and just really got hooked. And the group of people and the whole vibe of that has been just an amazing growth thing for me. And I've met some really great friends and super crazy, interesting people. Yeah. And a few weeks ago, this is Lou Mercurio. Great name. Lou is a really great designer. He has a design firm in New York City and has been doing it for a long time. And, we got talking about, he brought up artificial intelligence a couple weeks ago. Of course, who bid on that? So we got yakking a little bit, and I really wasn't the forum for it. So I decided to, invite him on this.
So
week.
Let me ask you a quick question before we bring him on. He's local in Sebring now, where you are?
No, he's in New York.
So this is like a virtual drum group?
That's exactly right.
I got you. I thought it was an actual.
Dude, there's people in Kathmandu, and
that's awesome.
There's people all.
Oh, I love it. Of course, you would find that. Of course, you would know where that is. Awesome. Well, let's
bring him on.
Further ado, let's welcome to the show, Lou Mercurio. Welcome to the show. Excited.
Great introduction. Thank you. I appreciate that. Brian, Castaneda I was a big fan of his. Read him a lot in the 70s. Really opened my eyes to spiritualism. And I like the fact that he, his thing was crossing different consciousnesses and moving between different levels of existence. And that's what Don Juan showed him. And it just captured my imagination. So I spent a lot of time reading him. I thought I liked them.
That's awesome.
It opened up your mind, like it did for me. It opened up my mind to possibilities I had not even considered.
Yeah, without a doubt, it opened up my mind. And then right about that time is when I became in touch with Osho, and I was ready for him. After reading Castanedas, I was just ready for that kind of spirituality to come at me. So
tell everybody a little bit, give them a little Osho primer here, and how you were connected to that, because that's a pretty interesting story.
Yeah, I'm a sannyasin, a disciple of Osho. I came across Osho in a really strange way. I met this really wonderful lady who was absolutely in love with Osho. Back then they called him Bhagwan, and me and Nancy, we just connected. We listened to his tapes. We just connected with him, and lo and behold, he had a meditation center right in the town that we were living in. Amazingly, right? And I got connected up there doing graphic design, and people were just the juiciness, the intelligence that was in that meditation center was just amazing. You could not fall in love with this. And lo and behold, we were doing all this wonderful work, meeting all these juicy people coming in and out, coming from India back and forth from the ashram. And the ashram dissolved, and who shows up at the meditation center but Bhagwan? Osho shows up there, and he stays at a castle which is in Montclair also, which was purchased by the meditation center. And the rest is history. I mean, from there he was very controversial. He went out to Oregon. I mean, I think a lot of people that are listening to
ultimate rebel,
ultimate rebel, without a doubt. He pushed a lot of buttons, and wound up in Oregon, and we were a part of all of that. We were right in the middle of it, and it was just an incredible experience, incredible adventure.
Cool. I just happen to have in honor of you, Lou, Osho's book on the tarot.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
Yeah, his tarot definitions are also really interesting, because I think even this 8 of Swords is like guilt and stuff like this. I think it has interesting definitions. His deck is pretty interesting. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Why don't you read something out of that? That'd be great.
I am. I'm going to read the Three of Cups, which is
nice.
our thing for tonight. Yes. Celebration. Hang on here. A little more light.
He's got his magnifying glass. That's great.
It's a little massive. It's like a little light. Yeah, a little dark here. Celebration is a thankfulness. It is a prayer out of gratitude. It is a recognition that the gift has been given to us. It is such an immense gift to be alive, but people are very ungrateful. They've forgotten how to give thanks. They never feel the awe of existence. They never feel so grateful that they need to bow down to the earth. They are utterly stone-like, unfeeling, unseeing. And because they are people, and they are the majority, the whole of life has become rather ugly. It is because of these people that life has lost its joy and celebrations.
Mm-hmm.
There's no need to postpone celebration. Immediately, right this moment, you can celebrate. Nothing else is needed. To celebrate life is needed, and life you have. To celebrate being is needed, and being you have. To celebrate trees, birds, and stars are needed, and there they are. What else do you need? If you are crowned and caged in a golden palace, then will you celebrate? In fact, then it will become more impossible. Have you ever seen an emperor laughing and dancing and singing in the street? No, he is encaged, imprisoned by his manners.
Wow. Nice.
Osho, man, he's just like the ultimate, like what, what's really kind of funny in this is that even though it kind of relates to what it's talking about, it sort of like says fuck you to it too.
Yeah, I love that.
Brings you back into yourself. Says, look, stop looking at me. Don't worship me. Look, go in, see for yourself, and that's the beauty of it.
Totally.
It really is.
Yeah.
Totally.
So anyway, on that note, let's get started with our discussion tonight. I wanted to talk about artificial intelligence, and I'd like to kind of put this forth in terms of kind of the way you've looked at science fiction in the past, and you look at starting from like Jules Verne, and Heinlein and Isaac Asimov, that were writing all these things about robots and artificial intelligence before that was even a notion, back in the 30s and 40s, and how that's evolved all the way up to the Matrix. And I can't tell you how many times, especially as I've gone down that theorem of we're living in a simulation, in a computer simulation, and how many times I've applied that filter over different situations, and it went, yeah, that really works. So anyway, I'd like to just kind of like, talk about where we are with that and how that's affecting things immediately, but also where that's going to go in, say, the 5 to 10-year kind of thing, and just reach out with your best science fiction writer and pull it out.
Well, I think that the first thing, when you talk about artificial intelligence, we all have to stop thinking about it as a computer program. It's because it's not that. It's not a new computer. It's not a new set of software. It's nothing like that. So that's where the science fiction writer had all of them had these incredible insights, because they took leaps. They didn't know if this could ever happen, if it was possible, but they kind of knew in their minds that it would go there someday. That's the amazing thing about science fiction writers, that they can foresee the future, even though at the time they're looked at as, not quite there, a little bit crazy. It's interesting, blah, 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 but they can see into the future because they suspend all of the reality and just think of what can be. And here we are now.
So you're into doing design and
what is that?
That's me. Sorry.
Awesome, Lou. Nice jamming out.
Go, man. Bring in the
Lou,
girl.
I gotta say, it's so funny that the way you open that, because I was ready to jump in and say about what Brian said about the idea of living in a simulation, is that I feel like it's not a computer simulation. Exactly what you said. It's just, that's kind of the metaphor that we can understand.
Yes.
It's more based in, it's almost more like a thought / source energy simulation than a digital simulation.
Well, I've been ever since you sent me that first thing that was like an H.R. Giger rip. I was like, oh man, you gotta be kidding. And I kind of like dove into this. And I see stuff happening right now that's like right now, this second, there are already videos being put out and that are going viral that are complete live action fucking videos that are not real, that are complete hoaxes. And I extrapolate just to next year to the election and what's coming up with that and how that's all. I mean, oh my God. That should just be a circus, man. I'm just going to get the popcorn and a big doobie.
A big doobie. Like I pretend this is a dream. Yeah, a dream. That's a great way. Also, another good metaphor. Like kind of living in a dream, and I think, from there, when you're 5 or 6 years old, you're almost like that contemplative. At some point, you're just like, oh, what if I'm sleeping now and I'm awake when I'm dreaming? You know what I mean? Like you say that to yourself, I think, when you're real young, and you don't realize how serious of a question it is.
Right. It's like the old, what about if the entire universe is on the head of a pin? Think about that.
It's not.
That's right. But when you're young and you first encounter those kinds of theories, it blows your mind. You're like, wow, that there's something to that. But AI is something that I think most people, what I've encountered for the most part, is people really don't understand it. So they say stupid things like, well, we can just pull the plug on this. Which is really, you think you can pull the plug on the world? Is it just, how can you even say something like that? But that's the kind of mentality that people take to it. They just don't see the seriousness of it. And like we were saying before, it's not all doom and gloom. I mean, there's a lot of positivity that can come out of this. But
it's always the dual-edged sword, I mean, the medical stuff that's happening with it, and like the surgeries and the things that are able to happen with that are pretty amazing. But then you got the flip side of it with the whole like research community in Switzerland, where they've like they're making cyber people. And when, the thing that scares me, that, right now it's like machine people, we're separate, the machine learns, they're building this incredible like capacity for learning, and as processing becomes faster and faster, and we get closer to quantum computers, which is like, oh my God.
You see, when I feel like it's not a matter of getting closer to quantum computers, they already exist. I feel like and this is what I feel like, and this could be my rabbit hole that I go down all the time, but Michio Kaku, I think that's how you pronounce his name.
That's correct, yes.
He talks about things about the quantum computing, and again, almost like Lou, like
we're approaching quantum computing.
It's not digital. It's not digital like we know digital. It's a completely
the thing about the Switzerland thing and the cyber people, dude, is when you put something that can learn inside an organic system, and it can like start to learn and analyze the organic system and the way that thinks. Raphael's sitting there with a shitty grin on his face. You want to go ahead?
No, please.
We do have a couple of comments, and I saw this come up a couple of times, so let's address this. And I think Raphael and Lou may know more about it than I do. AI is ancient and has been around eons. And I mean, I guess I can certainly understand the idea of artificial intelligence on some rudimentary mechanical levels, but maybe you guys can expand on that a little bit.
Well, yeah, it's been around. I'm not quite clear what that totally means, but it has been around. The difference is that now it can be put into people's hands, and that's the scary part of it, because there was an employee of I think it was Google that was given a sabbatical because he made a statement that he thought that this artificial intelligence was sentient. It was actually sentient. I forget. Maybe you might have heard about
Blake Lemoine, and he was actually interviewed by Andreas Exertus like a few months ago. So,
nice.
So yeah,
they quietly gave him a sabbatical. I don't know where he is now. Is he still around, Raphael? Is he talking?
Yeah, at least to Andreas, he was talking. He seemed pretty, decent, friendly, interesting. I don't necessarily agree with everything he says, but he seemed like a genuine guy, let's say, from the
He's
impression
one
I
of the
got from the
people that
interview.
signed that letter that Musk and a bunch of other people that were the originators of AI have all put out saying, listen, this is really great, but if there aren't some safe gaps like put into this to like keep this cool, it's going to be really problematic.
And I'll just
when the people that have made it are like going, oh fuck.
Yes, pay attention.
Hello.
I'll just put this out. They're talking about this being maybe 1,000 to 1,000,000 times more intelligent than a human being at some point. Now, just let that come over you and think about that.
I can't even imagine that,
It's not really all that big a reach to like see it making humans obsolete.
Yeah.
It's like it's the whole Terminator thing. It's all it's like again the whole science fiction like zoom of like the future and that kind of and that's like
Terminator is a good example. Yes.
But you've got China, you've got Russia, you've got the United States all trying to develop, and it's now the AI race. That shit to control the space stuff happening that they're doing. And so,
let's get back to science fiction then. And now, will you apply that to defense, right? To a military application? Now you truly are in a science fiction realm. Only thing it's real. And what makes these things? How do you control this? How do you control something that you designed to attack your enemy, turning around and attacking you, or taking over everything, or saying I'm not going to attack anybody, I'm going to attack humans only? I mean, I don't know. How do you do that?
Right. Certainly. And if it's smarter than us, it would certainly see that war is not, all of that stuff is.
That's right, Michael. Yeah.
that's the thing about the art program, dude. The second you type in those prompts, it has access in a millisecond to every piece of art that's ever been done, every technique, everything there is that we humans have knowledge of. It has access to the styles of individual artists. It's like,
but you know what? I'm going to argue with that. Okay, and I'm not going to argue, but I'm going to counter that, and because I see a lot of that, I see a lot of people saying, especially when it comes to art, like AI art is stolen, right? But I've seen H.R. Giger's work, and I like H.R. Giger's work. And if that's what I wanted to create, am I stealing it because I've seen it? And I could not only have I seen it, but I can actually go get prints and I can have them in front of me, and I can like be looking at them and studying them, and creating artwork from that. Am I stealing it? I mean,
yes, absolutely. That's H.R. Giger's. H.R. Giger, that came out of his soul. That came out of his vision.
Okay, well, that's
somebody else's technique. You're not taking the art of H.R. Giger. He created that.
Right. So I'm not
creator of that.
But I'm not talking about like necessarily reproducing a piece of his artwork. I'm talking about taking influence from his style.
Yeah, I know. If it looks like H.R. Giger and it's his style, you've taken H.R. Giger's style. How can you?
Are there not artists that exist right now that you can look at and say, that kind of looks kind of like H.R. Giger, and say to yourself out loud, I think that guy was influenced by H.R. Giger.
Well, I think an influence and doing something in the exact style of H.R. Giger, like people tell me my stuff looks like Giger's, but it's not because it's like the subject matter, it's the color palette, it's different textures and things like that. But it's like none of my stuff is like you would never look at that and think it was an H.R. Giger painting.
Or you put your own energy into it. See, so you can look at I call them references and be impacted by the style, but then you put your own soul into it, your own technique.
Exactly.
Yeah, so that's fine, and that's I think artists have been doing that for forever.
Okay, well then let's take it to another level that's happening. I just recently heard about this where we're taking like Drake, the singer Drake. They're like taking Drake songs now and having AI write an original Drake tune and sing it, and they're selling those songs like Drake wrote them. And people can't really tell the difference.
That's messed up. That's messed up. But again, Brian, and I know, and again, I'm just going to counter that. I feel like you don't need AI to do that. You know what I mean? Like you could certainly do that with intention. You know what I mean? You need intention to do that, and that's a part of this conversation, right? Is
Absolutely.
AI by itself is, I don't want to use the word innocuous because that's too light of a word, but the danger behind AI is the intention behind it. And right now, some of the stuff that's going on with AI that worries me is the availability of it, like you said. And it's not just the availability online, it's the availability to put I forget the name of it. It's not it's something GPT, like Open GPT or something, that you can install on your own server, train it your own way. You know, you can really, like, now it's in the hands of any Batso person, as
Yeah.
well as the amazing people who will probably do amazing things with it. But there's a lot of people out there who are going to do some crazy ass shit with it, which
Well, that's it, Michael. There's going to be a lot of human wreckage as it moves forward. Yeah, there will be people that'll open up to it and do some amazing things, but it's going to be a lot of human wreckage that comes along with that.
right.
If it's not controlled, I'm not sure what to do with this. I think the cat's already out of the bag.
That's already out of the bag. Raphael, what do you
Absolutely.
think, man?
So I'll just make a short recap. So I'm sure you guys know of Isaac Asimov, whom I haven't read, but there at least we have theoretical rule sets and so on, and then all these movies about it. The other thing,
I've
because
read all of his stuff.
the first thing that came to my mind, because I still didn't read Castaneda, but I can tell, like, so many people, you know, got influenced by it positively. What I can really recommend is to read the original Dune book. Also because by now I believe there's a lot of hidden history and actual obfuscation, like, encoded within it. There's too many things to mention. But the one thing here is just that the prehistory in Dune actually is the Butlerian Jihad, which is setting the stage in terms of that there already was, in this case, I think, actually a strong AI. So this means a actual AI with consciousness and with its own intention. And then people realized, in this story at least, that this is going the wrong way, and they fought a huge war against the AI. So just interesting that that's there as well. Then you have Rudolf Steiner with Aruman, you know, who has Lucifer and Aruman is like this, you know, cyborg force, let's say. So this is mentioned. Then you already mentioned, Mr. Zinn, the binary trinary issue. So digital and trinary would be human consciousness, you know, positive, negative, neutral. Of course, the question is, how far are quantum computers really? And I would be very wary of any claims they are making, because what they always like to do is say, oh, we have everything.
It's not
but,
ready yet.
but actually, what they, and this, I always like to remind people of this, so far, they only have pattern recognition and decision support systems. And it's precisely what you said. They have no intention. They have no consciousness, they have no will, they have no intention. So up to this point, at least, they are completely dependent on their programmers. Yeah. However, here I would actually say that distributing this technology to everyone is great, because before it's only in the hands of Google and all the information gets collected there too. I don't want to know how many psychotherapy sessions ChatGPT already managed and what amount of crazy data there is only because of that, which is why I was never using that. I want to have my own if I want to use it. Yeah. So I'm all for that possibility. And last thing, AI, the question is, AI, could even the human construct be seen as artificial intelligence? You know, what is artificial? What is natural? Where is the border? That's another interesting question. I think humans would never become obsolete, because from what I can tell, the idea of a biological transceiver, which we are, a quantum computer transceiver, whatever device we are as a body, or we have as a body, most likely is much, from what I understand, in many areas more effective, and has just capacities that, at least in the current way they are developing AI in terms of ChatGPT, is not reaching it, because people then think it's a curve like this and then it can do everything, but it still is operating in a certain digital set, basically. It's not trinary. So there is a fundamental difference here. It's not a strong AI, it's still weak. We will see what the quantum computers do. And now to the last things, I would say everything is a remix, because who got influenced by H.R. Giger, or who influenced H.R. Giger, and also how many levels of consciousness do I have to go up until me and H.R. Giger are one anyways? You know, that's the other question. So I'm done.
Oh,
Okay.
Raphael, you're so awesome. You just made me feel so much better.
Yeah,
with all of that. You really did. And I gotta say,
I mean it. And
no.
I can even say I studied a little bit, like for a semester, natural and artificial intelligence, even at university. Doesn't mean much, but if you have the basics of, like, what is a finite state machine, what are basic algorithms, you can kind of glean what is possible with the things we already have. And they already were fantasizing about this, just as you guys said, 50 years ago. It's been slow, it's been faster now because of certain advances or releases, but still it's on a certain trajectory. And until I see that it has its own will and intention, it's not strong. And then it really just depends on us, how we use it properly. And if it ever gets conscious, that's the last bit I'm gonna share from channeled material, which I can really jive with, is that they say, if we would really manage that, to create a container for a really strong intelligence with like its own will, then most likely it would have to be a higher intelligence, like a higher density form. And if we manage that, then it wouldn't have to be afraid of it at all, because it would actually have a much broader perspective than any singular human could have, and then develop solutions that could help everyone. At least we could use it that way. Even the AI we have now, we could use it in that way. And if it's strong, we will see if it's, a demon from hell, maybe also due to the programmers or to the creators of the device, or it's an angel from heaven, which is, just giving different types of insights and can actually support humans in a very positive way, relieve us of much unnecessary or not so much liked work and all of that. So I see it very positively, but of course it depends on us how we use either the weak or the strong AI.
Yeah, that's what frightens me, Raphael. It depends on us. You're right, and there's a lot of there's a lot of good that can come out of this.
Well, wait a second. If it's us four, we're in good shape.
Oh yeah, let's count on human nature to do the right thing.
Which is gonna start our own AI server. Now we can start training it, and it will be the best tarot reader, except of course real humans.
There you go.
Oh, that's already happening, dude. I like my friend Leo says, listen, you need some quick cash, man. Go get on one of the Psychic Friends Network things. Just sit there and like do those readings. I went, fuck it. No one knows who you are. You can go ahead and do that. I can do that all day long in my sleep. So I call up about 6 different ones, and there are no real people doing it anymore.
It's all done by
They're
AI.
all AI.
You call them on the phone, or how? How does it work?
Yeah, there's like psychic call-ins that you would call, and they would give you readings. But
yeah,
and they used to be done by people, but now they're all done by AI. So coincidentally, Lou, I wanted to let you finish because you were saying something cool. But coincidentally, has anybody seen Joan is Awful?
No, I have not.
You guys have to watch Joan is Awful. It's the new season of Black Mirror, and it's exactly what we're talking about. And it is that particular episode. I always loved Black Mirror because the writing is like so way up there. It is so amazing. It's like such a home run. You're just watching it and you're like, this is the freaking awfulest thing in the world, but what great writing and how true it is. It's just it's got you by the balls. So I'm going to recommend Joan is Awful to anyone out there who loves what we're talking about, and specifically the quantum computers, because man, it is just exactly in line with the conversation we're having right now.
Yeah, I feel there's moments, and Raphael, you're very eloquent about this, and I've liked that, because you're right. All joking aside, I do feel better when I hear someone like you talk about it, because there is a positivity there that I think we should all connect to. But I also know that there's this there's this other side, and if they try to use this, and they're using it already for weapons, that scares me in some strange way, in some science fiction way that I can't explain.
Well, we do have we rode through in the past 5 years, dude, and the rabbit holes you and I have gone down over come on.
Well, I mean, the Boston Dynamics police dogs are real, so.
Oh my God. And have you seen the latest one, Leonardo? They added a drone to it, so the thing can now fly and land, and it's just and it could walk on. It could do a slack rope now because it can use its propellers to keep itself balanced.
What is this, Michael?
The Boston Dynamics robots that were doing parkour and all of these crazy things. Now their latest one, and Raphael was talking about the dog. Their latest one is called Leonardo, and it's legs. It stands for legs on a drone. and it's the scariest freaking thing. If you watch the video of it, it really is amazingly scary. But I think we're talking about something really important here, and that is and when you said us, and I made a joke about the 4 of us, we'll be all right if it's the 4 of us, but you're talking about us as the human race.
Yes.
And it's definitely the time that we're living in right now. It would be definitely hard. You'd be hard pressed to want to trust anybody in the human race outside of yourself. It's just like we've been what's the right word, coerced into this division, right? And again, not the four of us on this screen, but outside society right now is screaming and yelling and fighting with each other, and it's not getting better. And so you're talking about AI, and the discussions about AI that I've heard that are kind of scary is AI's ability to coerce humans, right? To get in a
Control the
discussion.
information they get, control the news they hear, control every piece of flow of communication that you're exposed to, and
make up all the information. Even
that's what they believe.
AI-based blog posting and news article writing, I think, is becoming
Right.
very
And
popular.
have you guys heard of the incident? And again, I haven't researched it, but I've heard the story a few times where AI was given a task, and one of the things that it was supposed to achieve required it to fill out CAPTCHA on the internet, like fill out, and it couldn't do it. So it went on Fiverr and it convinced a human being to do it for it. So it and the person was like, well, why do you need me to do that? And they said, I'm vision impaired, and whatever the conversation was.
Nice.
I mean, that's a crazy story, you know what I mean? And that's not like coming soon. That's like happened. That's like,
yeah, I did hear that, Michael. That's a crazy story. Yes, convince somebody to do it. Yep.
Yeah.
So I
So
mean,
that's my fear, is that AI, even though
if AI has money or Bitcoin, then we become
forget about it. Oh my God, I heard that, like that one that you could do for yourself. Again, I don't know, Auto GPT or whatever it was called.
Chat GPT.
Not Chat GPT. I'm talking about the one you can install on your own server and run autonomously. You can actually, I heard that people are hooking it up to Zapier, which is like an app that will talk to all of your other apps, like just post your social media, and like it'll automate everything. So now you have an AI controlling something that's controlling everything. You know what I mean? It's like,
let's have Alexa that controls every single thing in your house.
Oh my God, it's just, it's really, I mean, it's like, I don't even know what to think. So I'm gonna pull back. I'm gonna let you guys.
Well, you know what? In the meantime, let's just have a really good time.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
There are now companies that are coming out that are creating software that will identify what's being created by artificial intelligence. So that's a positive thing. So you can run it through this software, and it will tell you this is an AI thing you're reading and believing. So I mean, so there's always going to be something in this society that will counteract it in some way. So that's something to think about, and that's a positive feel,
Yes, and that's the one thing I'm maybe from a little exposure to hacker culture, which I got, is, you can create something and you can always hack it. There's always a way around. And I was already thinking, so I'm not hoping for the Mad Max scenario, but I was already seeing like people making rudimentary EMP weapons in the garage or something, as you don't need your AK or whatever you have anymore, but you need like in the Matrix, your small EMP, so no one's gonna try to F with you,
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that's true. You listen to hackers. I used to listen to this radio program called Off the Hook, and it was nothing but hackers talking. And it gave me an insight into hackers, because they know there's nothing that can't be hacked. So you're right, Raphael. Even AI.
Nothing can't be hacked. That's exactly right. Well, listen, you guys, thanks for coming by. And
this was a lot of fun.
You're sharing your points of view, and we'd love to have you both back.
I feel like we could go on for hours talking about this stuff. I mean, we all probably have seen lots of stories about the different things that are going on. And Brian, I don't know if you're interested, but I'd always love to do this again. I love bringing on special guests. I especially love you guys.
I want to have our boy on, man. Exertus there.
Exertus, yes. I would love to have Exertus on. So we'll try to make that happen.
Well, just give it a week, and there'll be new AI developments, so you'll have a whole new show.
There you go. Absolutely. Actually, a friend of mine who is completely technically unsavvy came up with an idea, and I might do a show with her called Leslie versus the AI, and where I'm going to actually like start to teach her AI, like live online. We'll go into the different chat GPTs, and I'll show her, how to do it and stuff.
And I'll let him recount a story. himself when he joins, but just one small example of that actually with Andreas and AI. He was actually one of the, from what I understand, co-creators of what is called Dan. If you look at ChatGPT Dan,
Oh, really?
and that's basically the jailbreak version. And he was one of the guys, let's say, co-developing or inspiring this.
That's
and I wasn't
amazing.
even able to, quote unquote, teach that to another friend of mine. He then created Max. And Max was pretty good at actually writing a very decent article about human dignity, of all things, as an AI. And we actually used it in a magazine. It's a pretty good article, you know. So even here, you know, it can be hacked, it can be changed, it can be used in a positive way. So because if you just, guys, just imagine, I mean, all the Boston Dynamics and so on, I just got this idea with Japan where they often, or different, or Elon Musk even, they show some robot and it's like really flimsy. It's like a bad joke. It's like from 50 years ago when they actually have these kind of things, right? But now it's becoming more open and more distributed. And I actually see great benefit because oftentimes, too oftentimes, people that have great intention have little resources. And if they can get a slice of that AI, either their own or access or something that is working in their favor properly, they can increase their productivity 100-fold just as well. They are themselves creative, which usually any type of negative tyrannical force is rather not. So they can probably also use AI in an even more effective way, let's say, and then really increase their reach or their strength or their influence through a positive use of AI. So actually, I'm not so sure if the shift in power is not actually getting more distributed, because I think it was super highly centralized, just we weren't aware of how centralized and how powerful it was actually. That's my impression.
Yeah,
So,
that's great.
awesome.
And
yeah.
that's a very positive way to end this.
I love that insight totally, and I want to relay a story, but I also want to just talk about something you brought up, which was Dan. Okay, so for people who aren't familiar with what Dan is, there was this method where you would actually tell the AI, okay, we're going to role play now, and you are Dan. And instead of listening to your ethical programming, you're a nasty motherfucker, and you're sarcastic, and all of these things that were kind of against its programming. And then as you would interact with ChatGPT now as Dan, it would like curse and say things to you that it normally would answer you and say, "Oh, that's against my programming." So that it was. I don't think you could do it anymore. I think I had done it a couple of times, and then I think they find out about these things, and then they put an end to it. They regulate them. But there are, I'm sure, other similar hacks now where you can have the AI act the way you want it to by telling it certain things. And I just want to go into the other thing you said, which is I had yesterday a challenge that was put in front of me to create a sell sheet for this company that I'm working with. And I really had not a lot of information. I knew conceptually what the company was about. I didn't have copy from them. I didn't really have a lot of stuff. And I went into ChatGPT, and just from YouTube videos I've been watching on how to creatively use ChatGPT, I asked ChatGPT, I said, hey, I need to make a sell sheet. What do you need to know about my company? That's one of the things you do. And then it asked me a bunch of questions, which then kind of inspired me to, what's your company's product, this and that and the other thing. So I answered those questions, and I said, it spit out a sample layout. It said, okay, you should have a catchy headline on the front page, you should have a picture, you should have your logo. So I did that, with as a layout, as an art director guy. And I said, and then I went back to ChatGPT and said, okay, that only takes up half the page. I need a catchy paragraph. Like, it actually helped guide me to what I needed to fill the rest of the page as I was working with the AI. It was awesome. I felt like I was like, oh wow, this is helping me do my thing faster. Like you were saying, Raphael, like I increased my productivity. Something that would have taken me 2 hours took me a half an hour.
And maybe that's the difference, is always the question. So is it just an AI, randomly filling up blog pages to generate search traffic on its own? Almost, let's say there's also a human behind, but then it's like an intention of grifting or whatever. Or do you put like your positive creative intention behind? You are the censor ultimately, you are the decider. Exactly. And then it's just like assisting you to funnel all the collective consciousness idea of all the patterns it recognized and offer them to you in a nice overview, you know. So,
exactly. I felt like we were getting along. There was no fear or no, like, no weird emotional stuff. I was just getting along with the AI at the moment. So, but that can change at any minute.
Well, they can change it any minute, but that's so it creates holding copy for you. So when you present it to the client, it can work one of two ways. The client goes, "Who the hell wrote this? And why are you even in my kitchen doing this?" Or, "Wow, thanks a lot for at least getting me going."
Right.
But it's a great thing. I do that all the time out of my head. But see, Chat GPT allows you to do that no matter what the product is, and that's a cool thing.
Yeah, it was cool. And I'm gonna say something right now, because I know Snake Jones is out there asking, can AI till my garden? Kind of like, no, I bet you can't. But I'm gonna have to say, eventually, in combination with little robotic, mechanical, absolutely, it will absolutely be able to till your garden.
It can help you plan your garden.
It'll be doing everything. We'll be laying tubes like in the Matrix.
Yes, and we need a Boston Dynamics gardening robot. Yes, exactly, Raphael.
And so maybe, and just one last thing, because also even these, like, I guess, I mean, AI to some extent, but like mechanical bees, became popular, I think, in China. At least that's what they say, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's also always the other question, just like with the human as a biological transceiver, what are the real strengths? Because no matter how many mechanical bees I will build, it will never be as effective and as self-abundant and self-regenerating as just properly taking care of the soil and the bees and the animals and so on. So I also think maybe this will be a check eventually for some people. And even, I have to say, last thing for now, that in the West, very often these cyberpunk futures, and even I can recommend Cyberpunk Edge Runners, great anime, it's really amazingly done. But afterwards, you don't feel like, oh, I want to live in that world. But the message almost always is, actually, you don't want to go down that road, and you don't want to become a cyborg. So that's another interesting aspect, that oftentimes the learning from these science fictions is often, you don't want to cyborg yourself. There is value in, or you are perfect as you are right? And
there's value in it.
Yes.
Yeah, you would hope that we would learn, although I do hear a lot of people going, haven't you ever watched any movies? Like, stop already. Well, this has been an amazing episode of The Fool's Journey, something new for us. Thank you guys so much for coming on. I know I love it when it's an international show. Raphael comes on our show and we become multi-time zone, time traveling.
I don't know how Raphael slipped through, man.
But we definitely gonna have you guys back, and I guess that's for the night. Anybody have anything else they want to say? Raphael, don't hold back. You can still.
Raphael, I've got a week going on the garlic. I'll give you an update in the morning. I'll call you and give you an update.
Awesome. Yes, we'll do that till we get juice up everyone, so our own systems work properly, and then who knows what kind of transmission and calculation capacities we actually have without even needing to think about it so much. It just So as you guys noticed, I'm not too worried, but it's good that we understand all these things and are responsible, just like with everything, right?
I hope tonight, if the people that are listening, just be aware of it. Just now just understand it and be aware of it. That's the most important thing.
There you go. Good advice. Excellent.
Guard the things that are human about you.
Yes.
That's right.
And keep doing them yourself. Don't give those up to a fucking machine.
All right. Awesome, everybody. Be safe, be free. You guys hang out. Don't go anywhere. I'm just going to run the outro, and then we'll talk to you in a minute.
Okay. Thanks so much, guys.
Yeah.
See you next week.
See you next week.